Year 8, how are you today and how is everybody doing? Forgive the background noise today. I'm actually recording from school. That's why you're going to be hearing some noises. But today's lesson is going to be the active and passive voice. Very easy, very straightforward lesson. So let's get to it. Okay, so in order to understand the active and passive voice, we must have a clear understanding first of what the subject, verb, and the object of a sentence are. Now, the subject is the person, place, or thing that we are talking about in the sentence. The verb is the doing, or it could be the being as well. It is the doing word of the sentence, which tells us what the subject is up to. And the object is the thing that the verb is carrying the action on. Now, let's see if we can spot the subject, verb, and object in the following sentences. Mr. Davidson washed his car. Where do you think my subject, verb, and object are? Mr. Davidson is my subject, washed is my verb, and his car is the object, okay? A cake was baked by my sister. A cake was baked by my sister. My subject is the cake, yes, a cake. And my verb is, the whole verb phrase was baked, right? Do we have an object in this sentence? No, we do not have an object in this sentence. We don't necessarily have to have an object in every sentence. So we need to take extra care of that. Sentence number 3, Emily listened to some music. Emily is my subject, listen is my verb, and some music is my object. She cooked her daughter a delicious meal. Now take a close look at this sentence. Where is my subject, where is my verb, and where is my object, or where are my objects? She is my subject, cooked is my verb, her daughter is an object, and a delicious meal is an object. So we have two objects here, a direct one and an indirect one. Your direct object is a delicious meal, and the daughter or her daughter is your indirect object. You have two objects here, two things that the action was carried upon or to. Okay? So in an active sentence, the subject performs the action or the verb to the object. For example, George and Peter played football. My subject is George and Peter, my verb is played, and my object is football. But in a passive sentence, the thing that would normally be the object gets turned into the subject through the use of the passive form of the verb. They often include a prepositional phrase starting with by. Now, let's take a look at the same sentence that we had above. George and Peter played football. We're going to change it into passive. It's going to be football was played by George and Peter. So all of a sudden, what was your object in the first sentence changed into your subject. So your subject here is football, and your verb is the verb phrase was played. Now we have a prepositional phrase, which is by George and Peter. George and Peter turn into something that is called the agent. The agent. Okay, so we have the first sentence, George and Peter, where the subject in an active sentence does the action, right? Your verb is played, your object is football. If I want to change it into a passive sentence, I'm going to turn my object into my subject. So instead of my subject in an active sentence normally doing the action, here my subject has the action done to it. So football was played by George and Peter, and George and Peter, who were the subject in my first sentence, changed it to what we call an agent. Okay? Now, can you spot which of the following sentences is active and which is passive? The plane is boarded by the family. The plane is boarded by the family. Don't be fooled by the by that we have at the end of a sentence. The plane is boarded by the family. Oh, sorry, actually, yes. Which one do you think? Active or passive? It is a passive sentence. Why? Because the plane, which is our subject here, had the action done to it. Okay? So we had the plane, subject, is boarded, verb, the family, agent. The damage was caused by the storm. The damage, subject, was caused, verb, the storm, agent. Also a passive sentence. Isaac threw a ball at the window. Isaac is my subject, threw is my verb, and a ball is my object. This sentence is active. Why? Because my subject, which is Isaac here, does the action. The magician pulled a rabbit from the hat, active, and the flowers were grown by my nan or by my grandmother is passive. Okay, now, when changing sentences, it is possible to change a sentence from active to passive voice or from passive to active voice. Okay, what you have to take care of is that you do not change the tense of the sentence. Now, most people make the mistake in this part when changing from one form into another. They tend to change the tense of the sentence. Now, let's take a look. The lioness chased a deer. This sentence is active and it's simple past. It's the past simple tense. It's going to be the deer was chased by the lioness. Harry has eaten a sandwich. This is present perfect. Is going to be, I'm going to start with my object, right? A sandwich has been eaten by Harry. Now, whenever you have one of the perfect tenses, been appears in your passive sentence. Okay, so a sandwich has been eaten by Harry. Okay, so Harry, who was my subject in my first sentence, now changed into what? My agent. And sandwich, which was my object in the first sentence, changed into my subject here. The gardener was watering the plants. This is past continuous. That whenever you have one of the continuous sentence, the word being appears in your passive sentence. So it's going to be, I'm going to take my object from my active sentence. It's going to become my subject, and my subject in my active sentence is going to be my agent. The plants were being watered by the gardener. The thief had stolen the jewelry. This is past perfect. Is going to be the jewelry had been stolen. Okay? Had been stolen. Like I said, whenever you have a perfect tense and you change it from active to passive, been shows up. The little boy rode his bicycle. The bicycle was ridden. Okay? Why ridden? Because I use the present participle. Okay, so what do you notice about the last two passive sentences? They both have an action and a subject, but none of them have an agent. Sentence number 4 and 5, we took out the agent. Sometimes the prepositional phrase or the phrase that has the agent and it can be removed in the sentence will still make sense. You just won't know who or what performed the verb. Okay, now let's change from passive to active. Let's flip it. Okay, the room was cleaned by my sister. Now what tense is this? This is past simple. So I'm going to take my sister, my agent, is going to return and become my normal subject. And the room, which was the subject here, is going to become my object. It's going to be my sister cleaned the room. Dinner was being cooked by Jenny. What tense is this? Past continuous. So dinner here is my subject, is going to become my object in the active sentence, and Jenny, which is my agent here, is going to become the subject in my active sentence. Jenny was cooking dinner. The paintings had been restored by the historians. The historians had restored the paintings. Now, a lot of you might ask, why do I need to learn about the passive voice? Why do I need this lesson in grammar? Now, there are many uses, but these are some of the top ones that I've chosen for you when we want to change the focus of the sentence. For example, the Mona Lisa was painted by Leonardo da Vinci. We're more interested in the painting than the artist in this sentence, instead of saying Leonardo da Vinci painted the Mona Lisa. When who or what causes the action is unknown or unimportant or obvious, or people in general. For example, he was arrested. Of course, he was arrested by the police. My bag has been stolen. I don't know who stole it. If I'd known, I would have gone and taken my stolen object. The road is being repaired. Unimportant. It doesn't really matter who repaired it at this point. The form can be obtained from the post. People. We're talking about you, people in general. And we use it in factual or scientific writing. Okay? The chemical is placed in a test tube and the data entered into the computer. The chemical is placed in a test tube and the data entered into the computer. At this point, it's also unimportant. It doesn't matter who does it, but they're just showing us how the process is carried out. Okay, so this is it regarding active and passive voice. Very nice and easy. Listen to the video carefully. If anybody has any question, don't hesitate in contacting me. And this is the exercise. Forgive me, there's a typo in the first question. It says, in your copybooks, change the following sentences from active to passive and make sure you identify the subject, S, the V, the verb, and the O. It shouldn't be the O, it should be the agent in each sentence. Okay, that is just about it. Thank you very much, Year 8. I hope you have a good day and you understand the lesson very well.